This narration is for educational purposes only. It is not buy or sell recommendations.
Good morning, fellow ES traders. This is the narration of the ESH5 for February 10th. It's been a while, so it feels good to get back and make a video. Wanted to take some time off and do some more studying before I put any more videos out. That way, have a little bit better content delivered to you guys. So what we're looking at here is Investor RT. It's the higher time frame tool I use, and what I generally use this for, two things. One is to export certain levels to Bookmap, which is the other program I use to trade off of. And secondly, what we're looking at here, which this yellow line here is the volume profile for these trading days in this yellow box. And on this volume profile, compiling all the volume, that's the highest volume traded within these days, right there at the 60.49. So typically what we'll see is price go above that, come back below it, trade in the middle, leave it again, come back, leave it, and whatever. But it's this rotation that can give us a potential edge and anticipating price getting to certain levels. And once it does, you have an option to react to those levels. So this big orange line is called the micro composite VPOG. So it's composite of these days denoting the highest volume traded. These yellow ones are just for this particular day. So like this one actually lines up with the orange line. This one's at 60.75. So these are statistically high probability targets at some point during the trading day. So once we have an open, there's a high probability of at some point during the day price coming to check the previous day's VPOG, naked VPOG. So I have all these labeled on my book map, which is this, and this is the cloud nuts I was talking about. So if we look at this, is where all these levels for the ETH and RTH are going to be sent and labeled here. That way during the day, these are the kind of targets that are also high probability, the high and low of the ETH, yesterday's low, yesterday's high. So that's what I'm looking at. So this is 8:30 Central Standard Time, and we can see so there's these green, darker green bubbles. It's a sweep indicator. So it's a sweep of the book, and typically that means there might be a reversal. So the lighter green is the delta. Those are the market orders that trade into passive orders on the limit order book, which we don't see those except over here in the current order book. So let's see what happens. Go a little bit faster. So right here, this where it comes back to retest is a potential short, not a trade recommendation, but we had a break. First we had the sweep, so that's the first indication that there might be a reversal, and you can see right here where my mouse is, once we break that range, so these buyers are now under the water because the sellers are now below the buyer, so they're in control. And this structure here is kind of what we look for an entry, not a trade recommendation, but now this can be applied anywhere, and so it's all context of where it's happening to give you an edge to get risk on. So that's the first one. Now I took a trade, and it wasn't the best entry, but my beginning thesis was, let me go back to this real quick. So we have trending up, so we have stops underneath here. Then we had a flush on Friday, gap up. So my logic is we have shorts in the market, and then we have longs. So those longs during the ETH started taking these shorts out. So my thesis was the longs in ETH potentially could be taken out, and I was thinking come test down here, or you can see on this composite profile, so this over here is a composite of all the trading volume, going back to however far you want to, but each price level, that's the total trading volume of the ES. So these outside edges typically can be looked at as resistance or support. And you can see we actually tested it perfectly. But that's what, once the market opens, you don't know. So you kind of just wait and see which way, who's in control. And we can clearly see the sellers are in control here. So I'm looking to get short. Later, I realized this was the better entry, or here. Not trade recommendation, but now sometimes when I load data from Bookmap, it doesn't give me a proper VPOC. It actually went down here and then back up. So I would label the developing VPOC over here. So we had one up here, and then we had one, like it was down here somewhere. I think like right about there. So this was my short. I got in short here, so I was looking at the test of where these buyers were, and the sellers took over, took out all these buyers in that leg. So that was my entry, not trade recommendation, but that's where I got short. And then I screwed up. I went to take some profits, and then ended up going short again instead of covering. I would put 2 more lots on. That's okay. So let's speed it up a little. So now, had I held, my target was the overnight VPOC, which is down here. That's a high probability, high statistic, and this particular data is incorrect. The VPOC was actually down here. So that was my first target in that short. And I don't think it got down there now. I think it's still low RTH. So it was close, but the cool thing about that is now it's still potential target. Alright, now I missed this one too because there was a weird sweep, but typically these are pretty good VWAP to VPOC. Not trade recommendation, but that was the next one. And potentially there again too, but after I found the second time, I'm not gonna take that because really it should have. I say should have, but the targets were still down here for the overnight VPOG, which we didn't get to. So this is kind of showing strength actually, because it's not going below the VPOG. So now this fair price is acting more as support than like a low volume node. So once we get above VWAP and mid, now the context is changing. Now we're looking to potentially go up. That would be the first line of resistance. And let's see. I know I labeled one one of these little microstructures. I put a line out, but no, it was actually, yeah, I don't know. I know later there was a retest that tagged it perfectly. Oh, I remember what it was. Okay, we'll play it a little bit more. Okay, so now that's what it was right there. That is the first potential long, not trade recommendation, but there was when that VPOC came down, that's what it was. It doesn't show in this data, but the VPOC dropped down, traded a little bit, then came back up, but it hit it perfectly. That was potential entry for a long. Okay. So now we're looking for the high. That'd be the next target if you're in that long. And target was reached right there. Next is the the IB, which is the initial balance high or low. You can see right there. So we got VPOC migration. So if you took profits and exited, the next would be, let's see, there was, so that, yeah, I forgot to mark that too. That was an area as well, and that's how we got a test there. But at the open, that's the potential next long, not trader recommendation, but, and then targeting the IB. And yesterday, well, yeah, I say it's currently Tuesday for me, but yesterday, Monday, the 10th, there was a issue with rhythmic data. Which was kind of annoying, but there's still a couple good opportunities today. So now I'm just kind of watching, see what happens. It's unfortunate. This is correct, the VPOC. Might be off a little bit. I think that's yeah. Which in cases like that, if you lose data, it's not good to trade because you don't really, now you're just kind of gambling. You don't really know where your levels are, and that's number one. You gotta know what's going on. So typically there would have been potential short. Let me pause it. I've been reading Wyckoff theory. They talk about accumulation and distribution areas. So you can have an accumulation area, which is usually at the bottom of a move, like down here. This is actually a re-accumulation. So these are like the big hedge funds, big desk traders that are accumulating their position to push the market higher or lower, but sometimes the re-accumulation can be masked as distribution. So here, which in hindsight, you can see, but like I was saying earlier, at the open, when you have a break in range and then retest, those are typically the areas you can interact with. As we see here, break at the bottom of the range, goes down, retest, because the sellers were in control here. This is where all, oh, I'm sorry, these are the buyers actually, sellers are up here, but once we come back, there's potentially sellers. We have sellers there and there. So if they're selling that specific price area, there's a good chance if we leave and come back, they may start selling it again. Then we have VPOC migration. So this is saying this is too low. So that could indicate a move up. And these are the rotations that will, if you look over here at the chart volume profile, these outside edges, I was talking about that earlier, but we create these distributions, leave it. Now this is a VWAP to VPOC potentially. Let's see what it does. Yeah, worked out. But immediate VPOC migration, so I kind of did slam it down. So I might be taken out of that trade depending on your stop. Yeah, that would have taken me out. Could have gotten scaled though. Yeah, that would have been a scale for sure. Actually, let's see. This is, I got, yeah. I have ETH and RTH VWAP, so I don't know. This data didn't load exactly the way the actual market was trading yesterday. Same thing now, just that was the short over there. So there's this outside edge here, which I think we have another one. Yeah, up there at 310 volume. So this would be a better entry for short if you're going to go short here. Right there at the 91s. So multiple tests on it. Actually, didn't quite get there, did it? But with that VPOC migration, I wouldn't have taken it. Its range really isn't there. So we're just observing, nothing of structure that's calling out to me to get risk on. I imagine a lot of people had this affected the rhythmic outage. So it kind of made the day a little bit more difficult to trade. So potential long there. It got scaled. A trade recommendation, but all right. Now that's it for today. So some opportunity. It was kind of a sloppy day, but we'll see what today brings. The 11th. All right, guys. Catch you later.